So, where were we? Good to be back. Welcome to the second ever season of the World Monoposto Sim Racing Championship. WMSC 2024 roars into life in the country that, for many, is the place a certain pinnacle of motorsports should still be going for their season openers. We're in Melbourne, Australia, at the Albert Park Street Circuit. If, like me, you slept in this morning and did not watch the Grand Prix, we have some racing action for you this afternoon. Welcome back to the first of a 14 race season. It's a very finely, nicely symmetrical season. 7 races before the summer break and 7 after, starting in Melbourne and finishing once again, as we did last season, in Suzuka, Japan. Now, if you're new to WMSC this season, or maybe you've forgotten a few things since our last race in November, don't worry. We'll do our best to get you up to speed and up and running throughout these first 2 sessions. And thankfully, I have some help in doing so. Once again, I'm joined by Robin Ciuman. Good afternoon, Robin. How are you?
Uh, Fine, thank you. And super excited to be back for this season, and super excited for it to finally start. And at such a great venue to start a season, as you just said. And yeah, I can't wait for it to get going on the way.
Yes, it's a great place to start a season. It's still the place for me that the Grand Prix season really does start in earnest. And yeah, we are here at Melbourne, Australia. So first things first, what's the weather doing? As ever, WMSC issues a forecast for each race based on the statistical data of the location in the respective month of where the race is being held, and it's prepared by neutral persons. It's issued to all the teams ahead of time. As you can see, it's there's no real surprises there for Australia. Slightly cloudy, but mostly sunny during the qualifying session. But temperatures will rise during the race. But race weather stays mixed, so potential for maybe some rain. I'm slightly skeptical of that, even as I say it, but who knows? There's a little bit of ambiguity in that forecast, but we will see what happens. So, the first competitive session of the season will be starting in about 2 minutes. Qualifying, the final practice session is just ending. But let's get you up to speed with some of the basics. We have 10 teams once again. However, not the same 10 as last year. The key players are back in terms of Holland Racing Team and the reigning champion, Yanis Volborn, and his main challenger, Optimal Racing, and the lead driver, Reuven Meshida. 2 new teams on the grid, which we will introduce to you throughout the session. Once again, there are engine suppliers, but there is a brand new engine supplier on the grid as well, to go with SCMM and Cesario, who both prepared engines last season. So we've got a few things to get through. We're going to try and do it as the session goes on rather than info dump to you up front. But Robin, what's the thing? Is there one thing, or are there many things? What's the main thing you are looking forward to, maybe from seeing this first session and the first race of the season?
I think we have a super exciting fight at the front on our hands, because we have all of the title contenders from last season. They're all back, and they all look very, very quick in the testing sessions that we've seen so far. So I think this is something to watch out for. But also, behind those top 4 guys, it will be super, super close, is what I presume. And yeah, as you can see, they're already lining up. And our reigning champion, Yanis Wilborn, will be the first one to enter the track in a proper competitive session this year.
Format for qualifying, very straightforward. There's no Q1, Q2. It is just 15 minutes. And one key difference, the first one from last year, is they are no longer qualifying on race fuel. They are allowed to refuel for the race. There's no refueling in the race itself, but here they can fuel light and go as quick as they possibly can. And it's already been mentioned, there's been a fair bit of sandbagging going on, so this is going to be our first glimpse at what the true pace and the true order of these teams are.
Yeah, and of course, Holland Racing Team, they are going in as the favorites again this season. They were super strong last year. Wilborn and Poland's all the time competing at the very front. But Reuven Meshida this year is competing from the start of the season Last year he missed the first 3 rounds, only entered in Canada. So this will be very, very exciting what he can do competing against the Holland Racing Team guys for the entire season.
Absolutely, and also worth noting that Optimal also took a little bit longer to get their car up to the same level as Holland, so they weren't hitting the ground running, whereas Holland, they had a couple of races where they had some issues with tyre wear in the first few races, maybe not quite the right strategy, but then they found their form in round 3. And to be fair, the big difference for why they won both drivers and the constructors last year is because even on their off days, they were still scoring points. They had no DNFs as a team. Yanis Volborn winning 4 of the races, and his teammate Pascal Polens winning 2. And this is going to be the first flying lap from the reigning WMSC champion. Head through flying turns 9 and 10. It's flat out all the way down to 10 and 11. Pretty spectacular change of direction coming up. And compared to last year, these cars have got slightly less downforce. They're a little less able to throw in, but as you can see from that left-right combination, they're still pretty handy. And worth noting, we spoke a lot last year as well about Holland Racing Team going for a very low downforce philosophy that, you know, helped them out throughout the season, especially in a straight line. And what's interesting is they've gone completely the opposite way in their initial design philosophy and have gone for very high downforce. As we come across the line, Yanis Volborn sets the marker of a 1 minute 19.3. His teammate just behind to follow up. About half a second between them. Reuven Messenger, though, the main challenger, 6/10 off. So, everyone getting a sighter in. It would be good to see how the rest of the order shakes out. And there we have Filip Puška, who won this race last year, the very first ever race winner in the WMSC, driving for a new team, Scuderia CM Motorsport, or SCMM, as they're often referred to. We'll see if he can be back at the front, chasing for race wins again. At one point, he was considered as part of the championship fight, but had a few disconnects late in the season and a DNS as a result, meaning he kind of fell away. So let's see if he can mount a more sustained challenge. It's going to be interesting in a new team. They got really pushing out of the final turn there. DRS open. He gets into 4th. That's a solid opening lap for Puška. He'll be quite happy with that, but still time to improve.
Yeah, this is also the top 4 that we were expecting. These are the 4 cars to watch, but behind them, Victor B seemed very strong in the testing before this session, before this weekend. He set the 4th fastest time in the testing sessions, just behind Messenger, Volborn, and Polens. But interestingly, they all have been sandbagging, as it turns out, because the time that Volborn set first time asking was faster than any of the times that we have seen before on the times that we have available.
And as the track evolves, oh, and Denny Vella looking like he was about to get a little bit sideways, but catching it in the Better Julia that looks slightly whiter than last year. Very nice livery indeed. Oh, there's a big sliding orange car. Must be one of the HRTs in the background. As Denny Vella goes 12th. Yeah, and just on Victor B, we said he was a potential surprise package. He has moved teams this year and joins Infernal Void Racing. Infernal Void surprised everyone last season, finishing 4th in the championship. Lucas Murno putting in some incredible performances for them. Murno having moved teams now to Scuderia Cesario, and there's a new lineup for Infernal Void, Victor B and Gonzalez Cativo. So it'll be really interesting to see how they can do, because both of them have got the raw pace. It's whether they can maintain the consistency and get them up. There was a post on the Infernal Void website that said their target with this team this year is top 3. So it'll be really interesting to see if they can do it.
Yeah, they have lost their main point scorer last season, Lucas Murno. He switched to Scuderia Cesario. He's currently sitting in 5th, just behind an Optiminal car right now on track. He will also be interesting to watch this season as he goes into the pit lane, because he was super consistent last season and scored points at pretty much every occasion. So yeah, it will be interesting to see what he can do for Cesario with his teammate Alexander Knazovic. He brought Cesario back on an upward momentum last year when they struggled in the early parts and middle part of the season. Then when Knaze joined, they became regular point scorers once again. Tristan Engels, he's filling in for Philip Fekkeler at Kostek. We know him from last season. He has quite a major hand injury, so he won't be able to drive for the first 4 or 5 races, we've been told. So Engels will substitute for him, as he's currently sitting in 19th. And also new in the Kostek is Mauricio Quercia. We have seen him last year towards the end of the season competing for Potenza Esports. He pits.
Very abrupt decision to head into the pits there. But yeah, Kostek are one of the teams lower down last season who were on the verge of points a couple of occasions, but just couldn't quite have the luck maybe in some cases to get the points. Veckler was very close on a couple of occasions as Mescheder up the front manages to split the Holland Racing Team cars only 0.05 of a second away from Volborn. Knew he'd have a reply. Question is, will Holland push back? Benton Reader up in 6th there for Better Julia. Quite a few changes up and down the field, but Better Julia keeping some consistency in their lineup with Benton Reader. Vela, hopefully that will pay some dividends for them, the consistency in being able to push forward this season. They were in quite an intense 3-way midfield battle with Scuderia Cesario and SCMM. 2 teams which before the start of last season were tipped for much greater things. So both of them will be looking to kind of elevate, maybe trouble the top 3. And Philip Pushka is one of the main men to do that, but still not improving on his 4th place at the moment. Ahead, Lucas Murno, Benton Reader, and Victor B. Oh, we have a car ducking out of the way there, kicking up a bit of dust. It might just be a bit of considerate ducking out of the way of a flying Philip Pushka. And we now join a new team and a new driver, Mark Jordan for Velocita Virtuale. And Velocita are a second team, a feeder team for Infernal Void. Goal for this season is, for this team generally, is to develop the drivers and give them a chance to develop their skills. We've got 2 brand new drivers to this competition, Jendrik Beerhoff and Mark Jordan.
Talking about new names, I just see sitting in 10th for also a new team, Magnum Motorsport, is João Fernando Lebao, and they're a bit of a surprise package. We don't quite know what we can expect from them. New team, new names. His teammate is Jay Black, currently sitting in 15th. So yeah, they will be quite interesting to watch, but that qualifying effort so far is looking quite promising. So yeah, this will also be very interesting to watch. Oh, as there is a car off, looks like an SCMM. It was Gagiano.
Just on an outlap, so maybe he was just, again, similarly taking evasive manoeuvres not to get hit with an impeding penalty, which happened a couple of times last season, and happened in this week's race at Albert Park. So everyone on their best behaviour, it seems, even if it means they're going to kick up a little bit of dust. But yeah, to continue what you were saying, Robin, Magnum Motorsports, really interesting. We don't know that much about them, but they are the 3rd engine supplier now. They're the new engine supplier on the team. Last year, SCMM and Scuderia Cesario both supplied engines. They're doing so again. But now Magnum Motorsports have come in with an engine. And interestingly, they've come in with the most expensive engine. So all of these cars have a virtual budget, they have their own design philosophies, and they can upgrade the car throughout the season. And if you wanted to use Magnum Motorsport's brand new engine, the Performance Powertrains 01, it's the most expensive one, over 100 million euros of budget. And as a result, they have tempted the top two teams from last year to be customers. Both Holland Racing and Optimal are using the Magnum engine. So it'd be really interesting to see how well Magnum do with that engine. It's clearly an engine designed to be running at the front. So can this new team and these new drivers, the other of whom is Jay Black, currently sat in 15th on the standings, it'd be really interesting to see how they do with that. And as I mentioned just then as well about the design philosophy, both Magnum Motorsports and Holland Racing Team have got the same starting design philosophy of a high downforce base, whereas Optimal have gone for a more average and balanced design. So it'll be really interesting to see how those differences play out throughout the season.
That is very true indeed, and we're slowly entering the sharp end of this qualifying session. What is very interesting to me is that Yannis Wolborn opened this qualifying session with the lap that he currently still has, and that still is putting him on provisional pole. Mashita came close to him, but now I think we should finally see the fastest laps of this qualifying session. Everyone slowly preparing for one final push. And it's really interesting how this qualifying session played out, because last year, of course, we started on race fuel, the qualifying session. So yeah, we saw running throughout and the times got quicker and quicker. We don't really see that right now. So yeah, it will be interesting what happens in these last 2 minutes.
Yeah, as you say, the drop in times would be much more severe as everyone would just run as many laps as possible. And we've had an unsafe release warning just in the background for Victor B. So he needs to watch out for that. But yeah, it like you say, the times would drop a lot sharper as they would run as many laps as possible and the fuel would burn off and they get quicker and quicker. He would expect it to a much lesser extent where the track's obviously getting, track temperature getting higher, getting more rubbered in. But it's not really, apart from Meshida sticking a time between the two Holland Racing Team cars, not that much, but it makes you wonder, considering that top three have 6, 7 tenths on Pushka and more so on B, are they just biding their time? Are they just more worried with each other? Are they waiting to try and pull the trigger on a lap at the very last moment and give no one else a right to reply?
And also, what I just realized, in the first 7 places right now are occupied by 6 different teams. So this is a very, very competitive qualifying session. And if this continues throughout the race and the season, we're in for a very, very exciting year.
Absolutely. So, less than a minute to go. We've got Pascal Poland's currently purple after the first 2 sectors. Is Poland's about to shake things up and force his hand for Walborn and Meshida, but he gets a little bit messy on the exit there. It looks like he slowed right down. Oh, and there's a bit of a traffic jam there. I hope he's not kind of backed into anyone on a flying lap, but he's got just enough time to be able to start another one. So he aborts that run. Here we go again. So Yannis Volborn, he will get across the line only just in of his teeth. Time to perfection there.
I can see Meshida has just passed the first sector split, so he is the first one of the top 3 to set a lap time. Slow in the first sector, but purple in the second one. Very close to track limits there.
Oh, and kicking up a bit of dust as he powers down to Ascari, down through the gears. Power up! Oh, and he's overcooked it, trying to improve. And there will not be an improvement for even Meshida. So will Pascal Polands do something? He's gone purple again in the first sector. Remember, Walborn is behind. He might go quicker still. And Holland Racing Team, the Constructors' Champions from last year, about to start with a 1-2. Changing design philosophy and still being quick. Also Dutch. Where have we heard that before? But here comes Pascal Polens. One corner to go. Much tidier through that final sector. Powers towards the line. Is it provisional pole? It is. By 200ths, but Volbon's just behind. Is he going to go quicker? No, he's not. He might have had a track limits there because the timing screen didn't show all three sectors, so I think he might have breached track limits on his final push lap, which means he doesn't improve. So it is not the reigning champion. It is Pascal Polens from Yannis Volbon, but it's a perfect start for them as a team. 1-2 for Holland Racing Team. Reuven Mescher to third. Apologies, in the background, if you get a random moment of quiet from us in the background, we get race control talking to the teams, and it's on broadcast to everyone. So sometimes we will suddenly say, oh, we've just heard this, and it's like, no, are you hearing things? Like, no, it's only because we can hear it. So apologies for that slight pause. So yes, it's a 1-2 for Holland Racing Team. Reuven Mescher in third. Philip Pushka, a fine fourth place in his debut for SCMM, and Victor B, another fine fifth place in his debut for Infernal Void. Another great debut, Lucas Murno, sixth for Scuderia Cesario, then the two better Julies of Benton Reader and Vela. Gonzalez Cativo makes it two Infernal Void racing cars in the top 10, while Knezovic rounds out for the second Scuderia Cesario car. Dino Gajanio, the team boss and driver for SCMM in 11th, two Magnum Motorsports 12th and 13th. Mark Jordan is the highest Velocita Virtual car, Tim Houck in the other Optimal car 15th. Then the two Potenza cars, Machado and Valami ahead of Jendrik Beerhoff and the Costex, rounding out the top 20. So here is the plan. If you're new to WMSC, what's going to happen now is we're going to go for a short break while the teams set up their cars for the race weekend, have the final warm-up session, and then join us in about 10 minutes where we will go live for the first race of the season. Typically has changeable weather conditions, and we've got that for you today. So WMSC always issues a forecast for each race. It's based on the statistical data of the location in the respective month and prepared by neutral persons. And today, qualifying cloudy with a slight chance of drizzle, whereas the slightly, I would time we reach Lake Com. Bartosz coming up. The revs come up, the lights come on, and off we go in Spa-Francorchamps. It's a decent hold, and it looks like, oh, it's not been the best of starts for Volbon. He's had to go a little bit defensive. Fragoto's done an incredible job. He's at the inside of Polens, but Polens seems to be hanging around the outside and has managed to get ahead of him. How racy is Fragoto going to be? I don't think so. He's on the harder tyre. He'll just want to get through cleanly and see if he can run longer than everyone else from this position. And it's okay. So Volbon has managed to hold on, but what can Pushka do in the slipstream? Is he going to look into Lake Com? He does. Forces a defensive move from Yannis Volbon. Any other moves into Lake Com? He just watches the field comes through. And everyone through cleanly. All 20 cars for the first time. And they're all still going. Fantastic to see. So Volbon leads from Pushka from Polens. Fragoto just behind. Let's see how well he can do on those harder tyres compared to, say, Lucas Murno on the mediums behind. He's going to be an interesting touch point, as is Aaron Curtis further down on the softs. Going to be interesting to see in terms of grip, in terms of where, it looks like Poland's just getting a little bit wide outside of Puon, but he seems to be okay. Got Fragoto for company now. Max Riedmüller already up one position to 7th. Got Ruben Mescheder behind him, who I also imagine is going to be pretty quick at this point. Wanted to work his way back through the field.
I'm surprised that there were no incidents into turn 1. They all got through cleanly. I think there were some overtakes in the back of the field, like Cativo, Coppetta, and so on. They're changing places at the moment.
It is good to see that, yeah, everyone has made it okay. Well, how much progress can he make? This is going to be interesting.
Seems that Benton Reader is bunching them up a little bit behind.
Interesting. There's no DRS yet. Interesting to see what moves can be done as we head down the Kemmel Straight. Lots of changes going on in the back there between Cativo and Lawless, but up the front, Pascal Poland is already right on the back of Philip Pushka. As he predicted, the straight line speed in Sector 1, there's just no answer for it, and Poland makes it a whole race. We 1-2! Benton Reader is having to go incredibly defensive to try and keep Riedmüller behind. He's fighting that one tooth and nail at the moment. And Gajardo side by side with Mescheder.
Lawless got the penalty.
Well, that's interesting. So we've not heard anything from Race Direction. Oh, this is the moment. He's just not bailed out of it coming into Lake Com.
Yeah, I must say in that case, I'm...
Stay with him. Clean and tidy through Eau Rouge and Radion.
I think you will see now the top speed difference. I think that Giugiano will almost stay ahead, probably.
Tries to cut across. Oh.
Yeah, just barely. He just barely overtook him.
I think he felt like he needed to do that, almost like he might have, might have had him alongside him through Lake Com. Mescheder's recovery almost complete.
Oh, and this will be interesting because these guys met in qualifying.
Oh, and Riedmüller is going to be... Oh, and the impatient Max Riedmüller returns. He just wants to get past Eddie Weller. Obviously, Riedmüller getting that penalty for impeding Weller in qualifying.
Yeah, as I said, I think there is some bad blood now after that qualifying session.
Oh, and two of the front runners are in. Pushka and Volborn are in. Our race leaders in as Riedmüller looking to try and cut to the inside of Blanchimont. He holds it on. Oh, little bang in the side pod there. Mescheder in the meantime going for a fastest lap. It's all suddenly happening now. Great move though by Max. Quite simply, Poland's out. Philip Pushka has managed to get around him, the undercut for Philip Pushka, but the question is he going to lose it immediately down the Kemmel Straight?
It will be hard to defend.
See what he can do immediately is going to be DRS. Both of them probably going to be using push to pass at this point. They're side by side, but Poland sweeps it back through. So close for Philip Pushka. Certain that he's going to be his only second stop. Timing also says he's going onto the soft tyre. We'll see in a second if that's the case. Got Rene Vella with him. And they're going to go side by side through Eau Rouge and Radion. They are. Weller does not back out. He decides, well, you know what, my tyres are a little bit fresher. Well, here we go. As we've seen most of the overtakes this afternoon, down the Kemmel Straight. Murno right on the back of Pushka. DRS open. And he overtakes the Monaco winner with relative ease. Yeah, the point scoring is the top 8. The point scoring system F1 used in kind of the late noughties. So 10 for a win, 8 for second. Then it goes 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 as Ruben Mescheder sweeps past Gustavo Frigoto on the fresher tyres compared to Frigoto's hards. A 3-second places, in fact, he's done South Africa, Bahrain, and Spain. 3 second places and 2/3. So only failed to score points once at the opening round in Australia. So he's been incredibly consistent, but just not on the top step. As Gino Gagliano seems to be lining up Philip Beckler again. He's caught up, but he's going to try and catch him off guard to La Source. That looks like a decent move. He runs him out of road. I think he's very entitled to do so with the amount of space he had. But right behind Reed Muller through Eau Rouge and Radion. He's pulling out before the DRS line's even there. And it looks like that move is almost done and dusted. Will we see Reed Muller try and fight back? Welcome back to Albert Park, Australia. Race start is in less than 1 minute. You're seeing just the end of the warm-up. Before we get started, let's go through that starting grid one final time. And what a lovely shot that is, just to kind of give you an idea of how qualifying went as the Holland Racing Team cars practice their start. That is how they'll be lining up 1-2 together on the front row, head of last year's main title contender, Ruven Meshida. No formation lap this year. A couple of issues in terms of the lights holding for far too long after a formation lap, so they will just be joining the race and heading straight out for the race start. So we have the Holland Racing Team cars 1-2. Ruven Meshida is in third. Philip Pushka is fourth for SCMM. Victor B on his debut for Infernal Void in fifth. Well, just behind him, Lucas Murno on his debut for Scuderia Cesario in sixth. Row 4, it is an all-better Julia lineup. Benton Reader from Denny Vella. Row 5, Gonzalez Cativo ahead of the other Scuderia Cesario car of Alexander Knezovic. Team boss Gino Gagliano, apologies, for SCMM in 12th. Then it's the two Magnum Motorsports cars in 12th and 13th. Mark Jordan 14th ahead of Tim Houken at Tim Lee Sports on his debut. Mateus Machado, Paolo Walami, Jendrik Beerhoff, Quershow and Engels rounding out the grid. Well, it's been a little while, but we're back. The revs come up, the lights go on, and WMSC 2024 is underway in Albert Park, Australia, and immediately there's a car going a little bit sideways. It seems to be okay, and the Holland Racing teams hold station through turns 1 and 2. Little bit of a connection issue going in the background there. Hopefully that stabilises, but defensive driving at its best from Holland. Can Ruven Meshida find a way through? Just like last year, he's immediately going to try and chase down and break that resistance, but Poland's has held. Oh, and then immediately we have a virtual safety car. Everyone is going to slow down, and we will have a safety car, and it looks like Knezovic and Gagliano are much lower than their starting position. Has something happened to them? Oh, that's an awful, awful opening race of the season. And Gagliano is probably out, whereas Knezovic, will he try and continue? Jordan also caught up in it, his debut for Felicita.
This might have even been a separate incident because Jordan was running somewhere different to Knezovic and Gagliano. This will be interesting to see a replay. One car went wide in turn 1, but then we couldn't see what happened there.
We'll try and work it out as we go. But it's just typical first race of the season things, as Knezovic very slowly trundles around. Okay, let's have a look at this start again. We're going to focus on Gino Gagliano as the lights come out. So immediately we have that, which looks more like lag than anything else in the background. We come to the squeeze of turns 1 and 2, and Gajano does touch the back of a better Julia there. Oh, and that looks like contact. Oh, and it's a three-way sandwich. Oh my goodness. I can't believe there wasn't more damage from that for other cars, but that's absolutely squeezed between 3 into 1 doesn't go.
Yeah, that almost looked like the final restart last year in the Formula 1 race here at this circuit, where it's just chaos in that first turn, a car rejoining the track, and then, well, the track is just too tight and the wall's too close. And, oh, okay, Knazovic pulling up to the end of the pit lane, but looks like he's going for repairs. Both Veloshita cars are in there, in the background. Of course, there might also be damage that we can't see, like damage that is not visible, for example, to the suspension, because there were more cars than the 3 that we have seen involved in that situation. Bierhoff and Jordan rejoining. Kativo in the pits too, he has lost his rear wing.
Gino has now officially become the first DNF of the season. Rather unsurprising considering the state his car was in. Gonzalez Kativo is coming out, and then how long will Alexander Knezovic be stationary, and will he be rejoining this race? Scuderia Cesario. All happened very quick. That it was definitely a 3 into 1 doesn't go, and that looks like, yep, Knezovic is out. So here we go again. Let's have another look at this. This time from Kativo. Oh, sorry, from Kativo's perspective. And it's been judged by race control as a race incident. It just looks like Kativo has maybe shut the door thinking there's not a car between. It is a classic lap 1 racing incident. I think they've just squeezed each other when they thought there was space, and it's all disappeared very quickly. And yeah, race control confirms. Racing incident, lap 1.
Yeah, and as pointed out by Super Pauco in the chat, what a terrible start for this season for Infernal Void and Velocita. 3 of their 4 cars were involved in that incident, but at least they still have Victor B running in 4th. Pushke, by the way, he also had a terrible start from 4th down to 8th. We completely missed that in all of the chaos that happened.
Now, as the cars head around behind, and it is just a traditional safety car, but it is called virtual safety car, as there isn't one visible on the screen, but it is essentially handled as a traditional safety car, so the leader will dictate the pace in the final sector upon the restart. But as they're going around under the safety car, worth mentioning that there is no refueling in the race. They've all just fueled it from the start, but there are tyre changes and tyre sets. You may remember this from last year, that there were 2 sets of tyres that the teams had to choose from before the race. They could either pick from the more aggressive set, which was super soft and medium, or the more conservative set, soft and hard. Now, the one difference between that rule this year is they have to use both compounds of whatever set they've chosen in the race. It's because of its racing to get round. The restart has been called. It will begin next lap. So, at the minute, we have most of the field electing to start on the medium tyre, with only a few holdouts on the softer tyre. B, Benton Reader, highest of the soft runners. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. And you got some information about the sort of structure this race is going to go, Robin, potentially.
Yeah, so I've been talking to Reuven ahead of this race, and he reckons this might be a 2-stop. So this is probably, I think that was the most viable strategy last year, but right now we're seeing the guys prepare for the restart, which will happen this lap.
And Dennis is gone. I think he's gone very early indeed, almost before the beginning of turn 13, and the jump has worked. Holland Racing Team leading them away, and Meshida won't get on the attack just yet, but it's then B, Benton Reader, Lucas Murno, Vela, Pushka, Black and Valami. The top 8 score points in WMSC. So you have to be in one of those 8 places to come away with anything. So far, Benton Reeder's got a decent start on the back of Victor B. These two, as you see, both on the soft tyre. So hopefully they'd be looking to try and maybe make a little bit of progress forward while their tyres are at their freshest. Last year they had push to pass. That's not there this year. The only thing they have at their disposal is DRS and how late they're willing to brake. Victor B running a little bit wide there, feeling the pressure. Lucas Murno just sat in behind. It does look like Daniel Benton Reeder is closing up, as is Lucas Murno. Victor B just not quite settled in a good race pace yet. The train is starting to develop. In fact, there's already 2.7 seconds between him and Mesheder. The front 3 are gone. Here comes Benton Reeder down the main straight. Pascal Poland sets the new fastest lap of the race. He's going to look Benton Reeder into turn 1. And a very nice move. B tries to hold it out, and they've slid. And they're both in the wall, and they've both lost the front wing. Talk about being rusty on race 1. We saw a lot of great wheel-to-wheel racing last year, but both sliding out. And Robin, perhaps indicative of the new mod, the new regs, if you like. And these cars,
that's
and
a
Victor
Costec.
B has just weaved out and caught a Costec there. A solid Martin Brundle impression there from Mauricio Quercio, taking to the air ahead of turn 3. That might be a penalty for that, unfortunately. Quercio's just going to have to try and gently guide it back. B is doing the same. Yeah, perhaps indicative that the new mod and the new regs for this season, much less downforce than last year, much less stable. So perhaps maybe when overtaking, they can't be as risky as they were last season.
Yeah, I was told before this race that the car, you can't drift as much as that was the case last season, so it's harder to push these cars around. You saw them really throwing these cars into corners, going sideways through a couple of corners even. That should not be the case this year anymore, so they are behaving a little bit different. This might also change the setup philosophies. You've been talking about Holland Racing Team. Last year they went for the lowest downforce setup that is possible. Now they have chosen a high downforce philosophy, maybe indicative of and we were just told about the B and the Benton Reeder incident that there was a ghost contact, and this is what it looks like. Because they didn't really make contact, but there was apparently ghost contact, as we were just told by race direction, that sent them into synchronized spinning. And as we were just talking about the cars and how they're different, the drivers gave their feedback in between seasons, and the mod was developed after that drivers' feedback, and they constantly gave their feedback until they reached a point where they were largely happy with it, and this is now the state of the mod. So no further action between B and Benton Reeder.
Look now to Mark Jordan, the highest running of the Infernal Void clan. Elisita, the second of the two teams. Mark Jordan looking to line up Mateus Machado. Machado going defensive into turn 1. A little bit of puff of dust ahead, but all okay. And now DRS will be open for Mark Jordan. Chance into turn 3. And he's going to go around the outside and try and sweep round, and that's a beautiful move from Mark Jordan. Very nicely taken indeed. He's going to look to push forward from there. Gonzalez Cativo just behind. Oh, and Machado pushing it a little bit hard, maybe getting a little caught out in the dirty air.
But what a race. Jordan and Cativo, they were both...
Switch of leader. Yanis Volborn is in the lead. And it looks like he's made the move coming up to Ascari. We'll try and get a replay of that. I did wonder if they were going to try and choreograph it at some point, or whether they are racing, because obviously, while Melbourne was the championship main title contender last season, they're starting from a blank slate. So the question is, are they going to race each other, or are they going to hold station just to keep Ruben Meshida behind? Well, Volborn is ahead. It'll be interesting to see. Pascal Polans comes back, but Meshida seems to have an opportunity. It's going to be hard to attack when they've both got DRS. And here is a replay of that change of lead. So DRS, it was almost passed before DRS was even open by the looks of it. So I wonder if that was somewhat planned. And Pascal Polans is going to be a rear gunner armed with DRS to keep Ruben Meshida behind.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was an orchestrated move, especially after seeing that on the main straight, Pascal came very, very close to Wilborn. It looked like he had to lift off to not pass or run into the back of his teammate. And this is interesting because Ruben Meshida in race trim looked faster in practice than the HRT guys. He also told me that qualifying is a bit of a concern for Optiminal right now. Yeah, he's very, very confident in their race pace, and maybe he's just biding his time. But yeah, it's also interesting how the dirty air will affect his tires, because Ruben also told me before this race that the tires, it's very important this year to keep them in a nice operating window temperature-wise, because as soon as they're getting too hot, you're over and understeering everywhere. So this is quite crucial. But so far, he does not seem to have any sort of issue like that. And yeah, that he's able to easily keep up with the Holland Racing Team drivers.
Very interesting to see how that affects the drivers over the course of the race. Especially Holland, who seem to, they run the cars very hard. Very aggressive driving style, almost on the limit, pushing all the time. See how they can manage it. Gino Gajano has joined us in chat, by the way. Why always me, he says. Very sorry, Gino. I'm sure that's not the way you imagined your opening race to go. Very unlucky, but thank you for joining us. Hopefully a good race ahead, and for your other driver, Philip Pushka, as well. In the meantime, Denny Vella looks out, DRS open. It's going to be a defensive move there. Oh, wow. Murno trying to hang it round the outside. An admirable effort to stop the contact, but he's going to come back around again. But Vella gets the move done. This is a chance for Pushka to maybe get involved in the battle. We saw lost quite a few positions off the start, so looking to gain them back. It is Better Julia from Cesario from SCMM. Oh, no. Very last minute thing to get out. They go side by side, 1-1. It looks like he might come out. Oh, but now Denny Vella is in front with no DRS. 2 cars with him. He might lose both positions, but he's going to stick it to the inside. They're going to go side by side again into 3. Murno back ahead through 4. What an exchange that is. Pushka unable to kind of get over it. We've got another DRS zone coming up ahead. Oh, but Pushka just coming a little bit wide again. Dirty air might be affecting the drivers through that corner especially, which is really going to affect their run up through this sweeping section up towards turn 11.
Yeah, and there's Jay Black is now a part of this battle as well. So it's a 4-way fight right now. And what a great start to this race for Magnum Motorsport. Both of their cars currently running in the points.
Incredible, and both of them starting 12th and 13th. They've kept their noses clean and running quite well. And now Jay Black, chance to get involved in some racing action this afternoon. But what a battle we have here. But at the minute, Murno has done an incredible job to fight straight back and get that position. Can he pull out the second he needs? He's hoping now, but Denny Vella's going to be more concerned with the SCMM car in his mirrors, as Pascal Polans and Yanis Volborn have been trading fastest laps at the front, just trying to keep clear of Meshida. We have this battle behind to contend with. So, out of turns 1 and 2, over the DRS activation line. At the minute, looks like all of them behind Murno still have DRS, so no one able to make a move just yet. But after being reeled in seemingly by Danny Vella. Murnau has gotten a little bit of a hurry up and seems to be just holding him at arm's length for the moment.
Yeah, and on the topic of fastest laps, as the Holland guys are trading them right now, there is a new award this year, which is the fastest lap award, and everyone is eligible to that. So whoever scores the most fastest lap at the end. Oh, but let's look at that here first. Oh, there's a tire. Some sort of debris.
Oh, and there's yellow
Pushka
flag, yellow. Oh,
passed.
there's a car off track to the left in the wall. There was a yellow flag there. Was that overtake made under yellow flag conditions? And it's Mauricio Quercio in the Costec in the wall. That'll be interesting if we come back to that, but as it stands, Pushka has managed to get past Vela. Black staying behind. I wonder if they'll be switching places back, but we'll see what happened to Mauricio Quercio there. And Maurizio has been allowed to escape the car. There will be no safety car, so we will continue racing action, but it seems like he's lost that under his own steam. He becomes the third retirement after Victor B and Gino Gagiano this afternoon. Worth noting that Knežević has seemingly stopped again, but not changed to the other tyre. So he's only done like 6 or so laps since his damage on his medium tyre. So that'd be interesting. I wonder why he's done that. But here we go. Mauricio Quercio, he's already lost a wing there. It looks like he's going to be a little bit too ambitious. Oh, he's just too close to the wall. He's tried to stay out the way. And I think wow, he travels a long way from the scene of the accident to where he ends up. And obviously he's still trying to get back to the pits, which is a valiant effort, but unfortunately in vain. Quercio out for Costec. So we rejoin these 4. No changes in position ordered. Kanjay Black get on the back of Denny Vella. The minute they seem to spread out now.
Yeah, right now it looks like Murnau and Pushka can go a bit quicker than Vella and Black, but Black can stick to Danny Vella. Danny was very strong here last year at Melbourne. He had a very strong start to this season. He was even competing for the win here, but a bit of a unfortunate strategy call left him in 4th in the end. He is competing once again for 4th here, but right now he rather has to look in his mirrors, as Black will still have DRS. And interestingly, Black on the softs still able to hold on to the pace that he's been going. Vella on the medium seems to struggle a bit more on pace right now.
It is worth noting that the Magnum cars are now the only ones running on the soft tyre that have started on that super soft tyre. It'll be interesting to see what Black's pace is like when the switch goes the other way. From what we can tell, I don't think we've seen any scheduled stops yet. All a little bit kind of put out of kilter by that lap 1 safety car. So Alexander Knežević did a 6-lap stint on his mediums and then came in and is still on the mediums, so I'm not sure what prompted that. He's running a lap down. We have 17 runners at the minute, but also worth noting that we have 20 runners who started this race. And last season, that only happened once. It happened mid-season, oddly enough, at the Belgian Grand Prix. So it's fantastic that we have a full 20 drivers, 10 teams going ahead this year. And we've got Machado overtaking teammate Willami, 2 Potenza Esports cars. They finished last in the Constructors last season. main fight with Kostek was about who could finish in the highest position, but at the minute, they're going to take first blood on that one, running 12th and 13th. Tristan Engels, who subbed in for Philip Fekler while he's out with injury, running just behind them in 14th.
And so far, they've looked consistently quicker than the Kostek, so that is good news for Potenza Esports. And who knows, if the race keeps on getting more and more chaotic, they might even have a chance of scoring their first points here. Now, in the meantime, Filip Pušky is now close to Lucas Murno. Get a bit of a tough start to this race, Puška. But he is starting to recover, and he knows how to recover at Melbourne. Last year, he started from the pit lane, if I remember correctly, because there was a Parc Fermé infringement, and he had to start from the very back of the grid, and yet he won this race. So, don't count him out yet.
17th to first, but a pretty spectacular way to start the first ever WMSC season. Holding off for charging Yannis Volborn, who did one extra pit stop and was trying to hunt them down on fresher rubber. Puška in different machinery this year, but so far looking pacey, along with Lucas Murno, who's also changed teams. They're showing, even in different teams, guys are two very quick drivers, and it looks like they're about to go wheel to wheel through 1 and 2. Murno going a little bit deep. That's going to compromise his exit on the run down to turn 3. DRS will be open for Filip Puška as he can look to the inside. Murno stays wide. He tries to go late on the brakes and does so. Excellent defence there in the background. Vela and Black are very close together as well. Try our best to keep an eye on both these fights going on simultaneously. But Puška is close again, coming into this long sweeping straight. DRS open once again, heading towards turn 11. Doesn't look like he's going to be quite close enough. On the exit of 10 and 11. We've got Mateus Machado into the pits now. That might just be the first scheduled pit stop, but we will see how it goes with everyone else. Oh, there's a missing wing there. That might not be a scheduled pit stop upon reflection. That might be Mateus Machado getting a wing replaced. There's Lucas Murno really pushing that Cesario on the exit there. And there is Machado coming out again. Hopefully not going to get in the way of the two fighting behind. Puška, again, good exit. This seems to be the best chance he's got on the circuit. Not quite close enough once again. Worth noting that obviously SCMM and Scuderia Cesario, these are the two returning engine manufacturers this season. Some key differences between the engine. Big one being Scuderia Cesario is 10 horsepower down on both of the other engines. But SCMM's engine has about 6% less good fuel consumption. Less good fuel consumption is poor English on my part, but you know what I'm trying to say. Yeah, it's not as fuel efficient as the other two engines. It balances them out quite a bit. As Filip Puška now looking to come out, but he's not quite close enough. So it's really interesting to see that the car that is down 20 horsepower is just hanging on ahead of Filip Puška. But there's so many variables that you consider other than just horsepower. It's about what their initial design philosophy is, what upgrades they've bought. Cesario running a high downforce package compared to SCMM's more balanced package, but then they've both brought upgrades to race 1 as well. But Murno really pushing it. He's not looking as tidy as Puška, but he's on the edge and doing just enough.
And Puška he can't force him into a defensive move. Murno's just staying on the racing line. Try as you will, Filip, he's saying, but he is not really reacting to anything that Philip is doing. Now that was very close to the edge of the track, if not over. Bit of dust kicking up there.
Good question from Bar in the chat there. Thanks for joining us, Bar. Good to see you. Are there any differences in reliability? Wow. You can tell I'm not commentating in a while. Are there any differences in reliability, if that even has an effect? Not that we're aware of. We're not aware of any kind of documented stats about how reliable each of the engines are. It might be something we just find out as the season progresses.
Now, bad news for Potenza Esport. We've seen Machado without a front wing in the pits, and Willami, well, this is now a bug. He's out of the pits, but he was actually in the pit lane too, and that was also quite a lengthy pit stop, so he's now also a lap down and behind his teammate once again.
So just as we were saying, Potenza Esports getting first blood against Costech, now Tristan Engels ahead of both Potenza Esports cars.
First bit of commentator's curse this season, so we are back.
We're starting early. Start as you mean to go on. Lucas Mano there, getting a little bit wider on exit there. This time, Pushka continues to try to shut this gap. But at the minute, there's a couple of close groups. They're just not close enough to make any moves. Obviously, we've got the front two of Walbord and Poland's. Meshida just behind them. Then this pairing of Murno and Pushka, followed by Bella and Black.
Just as you said that, Meshida has been dropping back right now. He's out of the DRS window of Pascal Poland. He's been running consistently in it, but now he just fell out of that 1 second gap.
Interesting to see, because they are on the more durable of the tyre, the mediums, if there's going to be any pit stop strategy, if there's going to be any extending. Is Meshida trying to preserve? Are Holland doing any preservation, or is everyone pushing fully? It's going to be interesting to find out. But Pushka very close again on the approach to 3, but just not quite close enough. He needs to nail this next section of corners that run to the end of what would be sector 1. See if he can have a run down to turn 11. But he's much closer again. This is the vital corner. He needs to get the exit through here. Still close. Yeah, less than half a second on the run up to turn 11. It's so incredibly close, and they less downforce, but they still really do throw it through that left-right hand complex.
They really are, and it looks like right now that Philip Pushka is never close enough in the at the points of the track where it matters. He is very close ahead of turn 3 and very close ahead of that fast 11-12 combination. Okay, we just received a warning for Tristan Engels because he impeded Meshida while being lapped. So maybe this is where Meshida lost that chunk of time that he did. Now he's 2 seconds behind Poland's already, so surely this had to do something with it. And all that looked like Philip Pushka was about to run in the back of Lucas Murno. He just avoided that one, but locked a tire. And now, of course, this is a bit of time to breathe for Lucas Murno. But surely Philip will catch up to him once again. Got very slidey through there.
Yeah, that was a big lock-up just to avoid collision, but at least he's still going. In the meantime, the battle for 6th, Denny Vella and Jay Black. 6 tenths between them. Remember, Jay Black on the softer tyre. So if anything, we'll be looking for either of the Magnum Motorsports cars to come in first. You'd be expecting their tyres to start running out of grip first. And even though we've had that early safety car period, it only lasted a couple of laps. So the fact the super softs are are running this late. And interestingly enough, it's a runner on the medium tyre that's gone in first. Denny Vella in the pits on lap 22.
Now, this is very interesting, and this is surely a two-stop strategy for Danny Weller, because he can't put on the softs now and expect to make it to the end. Let's see where he comes out. There he goes. Looks like another set of mediums to me. Yeah. White sticker tires comes out behind Haug and Jordan in 10th, sorry.
So that is very much confirming it's going to be a two-stop race.
Tivo in the pits as well. And there is some sort of debris. Looks like a front wing.
Yeah, that just looked like it'd been left behind and flattered into by Hauk rather than anything that he's lost.
There's a yellow flag. There's the car. Looks like a Costec. Or a Potenza Esport. Yeah. Willami.
And it looks like he's stopping.
Mashida in the pits. Mashida in the pits. And this might be crucial because there's a car stranded on track. And there is a safety car being called out. And this is great. Oh, Mashida, is he missing a front wing too? I think he is. Mashida is missing a front wing right now. And it's a long pit stop. Might this have been a crash between Willami and Mashida when Mashida came around to lap him? Mashida comes out behind Pushka now.
That's incredible. So has Reuven Meshida seemingly caught up behind one back marker, also been caught up behind another driver. We will look to find out in a minute, but at the minute he's rejoined in 6th, and he has switched to the softer tyre, so he's at least made his tyre change. He now has a free hit for his remaining stop, so we're interesting to see if he runs long enough to do 2 soft tyre stints, or if he's going to stick another medium one. But here is the all-important replay. Let's see what's going on here. So it is Reuven Meshta coming up to a Potenza Esports car. Oh, and that's just poor luck. Yeah, Valami's lost it. Hit it across track, and Reuven Meshta just wrong place, wrong time's been collected. Wow. So in come the Holland cars. They're looking to take advantage. And in fact, this has started the flurry of first scheduled pit stops. In the pits that we go. I'm interesting to see where Meshta can filter back out, or if he's going to end up being the loser in this scenario. There he is. Oh, and he will just be able to filter back into 3rd. And thankfully, that gap has been shut down. So all of the nonsense out of his hands in terms of getting caught behind back markers has kind of neutralised itself. Pushka's out ahead of Murno, vitally. They've jumped in the pit stops. In a minute, we are waiting for Mateus Machado to unlap himself from the leaders. But interesting split now in tyres. So the Holland Racing team cars have stayed on the medium, so they're going to move to a super soft tyre at the end of the race, which means Meshida might go on the attack. Pushka also might go on the attack. Then is Fernando Labau up to 6th for Magnum, Denny Vella and Jay Black. 2 Magnum Motorsports cars in the points at the minute. Then Tim Houck has switched to the super soft, as has Mark Jordan. This is going to be interesting to see how much, because most cars there have stopped and are on fresher rubber. What's the difference going to be in the super softs? Are they going to be able to mount an attack on the cars ahead?
And what is interesting is that I think now this looks like almost everyone has now committed to the 2-stop. We definitely know Holland Racing Team will need to have a second pit stop. Meshad and Pushka, I don't think they will be able to nurse these softs to the end, so they will surely come in for another stop and put the mediums on again. Maybe even the softs, so this is an option, of course, for them. But Labao and Black, Magnum Motorsports, as they got the soft out of the way and they were able to hold on to them for a very, very long time, maybe on the mediums they have an opportunity to do this with just one stop. So keep an eye on them. They are having an incredibly strong debut, and it might even get better for them.
Absolutely, and it's worth noticing that one of the upgrades they brought was tyre wear, as well as additional downforce to their already high downforce philosophy car. We'll see how well that helps them look after their tyres. They've also bought 2 diffuser upgrades as well. So their car is stuck to the road. Good luck getting it off the road with that amount of downforce. But yeah, they've been able to run 22, 23 laps on the soft. And not really seeming like they're losing that much pace either, it has to be said. Jay Blanc was doing a very good job sticking with Denny Vella right up to his pit stop on the medium tyre.
But honestly, I wonder what happened to Black, because he was in just behind. He was ahead of his teammate, right? And now Labauer is in 6th, Black in 8th. So I wonder what happened there.
There's the order has gotten shaken up somehow, and it's worth noting that pit crew is one of the things that can be developed off, in the background by the teams. So not every pit crew is created equally. There are different speed pit stops. And has Pushka benefited from that to get ahead of Murno? Well, it certainly doesn't explain Labau versus Black, because they, of course, both for Magnum Motorsports. We're still awaiting the restart call at the minute.
Yes, it should come quite soon, because I think the track is clear and the cars that have unlapped themselves are just coming around and arriving at the back of the queue.
So, Yanis Volborn leads from Pascal Polans, Ruven Meshida, Philip Pushka and Lucas Murno. And all of those top 5... all of those top 5 have just stopped for fresh tyres. Meshida and Pushka, vitally, are on softer. While the 2 Holland Racing Team cars, both on medium tyres, will that be a way to break them up for Ruven Meshida?
And once again, this has given the opportunity back to Philip Pushka to fight for the race win once again. He had that poor start, got back to 8th, was 20 seconds, I think, behind the race leaders, and now he is back where they are. We've been told the restart will happen the next lap, so one more time we'll go around at that slow speed, and then we go racing once again in Melbourne. And this is kind of a trade from Pushka. Just when you least expect it, he all of a sudden he turns up and wins the race, or competes at the front. He was also the kind of invisible championship challenger last year. He was there all the time, despite only winning 2 races it was, compared to Wolborn's 4 and Meshida's 4, but he still was there right until the very end.
It was just a few poorly timed disconnects for him that really kind of put him out of it. He was still hanging on by a thread, still had decent pace. I think Monza last season was a key disconnect for him when he was running well. No, it just didn't get any better. The Alexander Knezovic, he was superb when he joined Scuderia Cesario last season. Unfortunately, his race kind of taken out of his hands, caught up in a lap 1 incident and just kind of running at the back, seeing how close he can get.
Yeah, and as we're looking at that onboard perspective, I presume Kneset has some severe suspension damage. I don't know if this is maybe a bug of the replay, but look at the angle of the steering wheel when he's going straight. Like it's yeah, not really pointing in a straight line, that car, as it seems.
Yes, I see what you mean. That is what they call a NASCAR setup, I believe. Joins the back. If that is his suspension damage that just isn't repairable and he's just having to live with it, no wonder he's not able to really charge much further forward.
Yeah, honestly, I would be interested in an onboard from Meschede because he had also quite heavy contact there with the Potenza eSport car. If there is any damage that we can't see from the outside that he might have.
Well, once again, Yannis Volborn has gone at around turn 13 and he's just timed his weave perfectly to get the hammer down through Ascari. Off we go, but this is an important few laps for Ruven Meschede on the softer tyre, the more aggressive tyre. Just having to lift off the throttle through the 16th and final turn, and we are green once again at Albert Park. But it's been timed to perfection by Holland Racing Team.
Yeah, and most importantly for Meschede, if he points his steering wheel to go straight, he's actually going straight. So it looks like there's no suspension damage, at least, from that contact he had there. So yeah, he was really lucky in that situation because that half could have ended much differently. But there he is, still, with the two Holland cars, well, really throwing it into that corner. That almost looked like last season's car, where they really chucked it in the corner and it just stuck to the road. Yeah, maybe this is also the advantage now of the softer tyre. But for now, they're really struggling with overtaking here. Of course, Albert Park, not the easiest track to overtake, and now without push to pass, well, it's only down to DRS, and Poland will have DRS from Wilborn as well. They have the entire race long. So yeah, he has to do it on track without push to pass, just with DRS. And yeah, as you said, on the brakes.
Been a very solid restart lap from the Holland team. Volborn, new fastest lap of the race, and Poland's has just immediately taken off him a 1 minute 20.9. Which I'm sure will come up on the graphics in a second. That's just showing up purple on the timing screen. Meshede's lap taken away, I think, from cutting track limits. Worth noting that track limits are policed by the game. There were quite a few last season, people getting track limits around this circuit, so there's a limit of 10. However, if after 10, the game gives you a track limits penalty, it will not be removed and you have to serve it. So you're going to have to be careful of that, as Ruven Meschede really closing in through this middle sector up to Pascal Polens. 5 tenths between first and second, 5 tenths between second and third, and that gap changes now, only a couple of tenths. Can Ruven Meschede make a move towards Ascari? He's in the more lower downforce car compared to last season, where he just had to try and fight, where straight line speed of the Holland Racing Team cars was just incredible. Fernando Lebao, though, since that restart, has dropped to 10th. Wonder what's happened to him. Talking about the two Magnums, but Jay Black has held position. But Lebao now outside the top, holding out the last of the top 10, I should say. Pushka still in the background as well. It's interesting. Pushka is just about going with this group as well, also on the super softs. We now have a replay. Is this going to be Lebao? It is. Getting about a shape. He does. Ooh, and he's very lucky.
Oh,
that
in
was
the
a worse.
background, Cativo. I think that was Cativo, and there was even contact with the wall, as it seems, for Cativo in the background. That was. No, it's not Cativo. It's a Velocita car. What was that?
God, they're both very lucky though that it wasn't worse.
Yeah, they are indeed. But just looks like Philip Pushka is lacking a bit of race pace here, because once again it's the top three checking out. leaving Pushka behind. He now dropped out of the DRS, 1.3 seconds behind Mashida he is right now. Oh, thanks Super Park in the chat. It was indeed Jordan in the background who had that major off moment in turn 12.
They're both still running, both okay, not needing to go into the pits. Although Engels has just gotten past Jordan. But as it stands, this is a vital phase of the race for Reuven Meshida. On the softer tyre, right behind the Holland Racing Team cars. Can he find a way to break their resilience?
Yeah, it's been an uphill battle for him all the way throughout now because he has to battle two cars and Poland's constantly is getting DRS from his teammates. So yeah, it's really, he does not even have that advantage. So he has to do it traditionally if he manages to do it anywhere.
Once again, he's close enough, but considering Poland's also has the DRS to counter, not much he can do. That's Volbon kicking up dust ahead of him. Putting as much as they dare. Turn 13. Hard on the brakes down to turn 15. Prost. Bit of correction as we sweep through the 16th and final turn. DRS open ahead for Poland. It will be for Meshida. Pushka just behind might be about to lose touch of that himself.
But Pushka's still doing everything to stay close to them. The gap has not increased ever since he dropped out of the DRS. 1.2 seconds still behind Meshida.
You can see he's very much close enough and he's throwing it in. He's got a very good exit out of there. Going to be in the slipstream. I've no doubt if there wasn't another Holland Racing Team car ahead.
Yeah,
Giving
only
DRS.
now he's slowly gaining. Only towards the end of that full flat-out bid. And then, in turn 11, you need to be properly alongside to have any chance to pull off a move there. This here is probably the safest and best opportunity together with turns 1 and 3.
Just needs to be patient. It's going to be a move he's going to have to try and manufacture over quite a few laps. And, you know, just consistent running and hope that maybe Poland's puts a little bit of a wheel wrong. Looks like we're coming up to a back marker as well. Meshida determined. We have this back marker. The ducks out the way. Nice. I think that might have been Knezovic in the Cesario.
Yeah, he was in the pits in the meantime once more, so he's really struggling after that contact. He had in turn 1. Oh, but this is now looking much better than it has before. Closer than ever is Meshida, but he's forced the long way. Can he make it? He stays alongside, has the better line for that corner, but Poland hangs on to second, but only just, and now still he is getting a good run towards the next corner.
Oh, and well defended there. I feel like Reuven might have had a chance to dart late to the inside, but it's well defended from Poland's. Great racing from the pairs and to go side by side, and Reuven half thinking about a move into turn 15. Closest opportunity he's had so far. And he's right behind, DRS open. He has to nail 1 and 2 because he might have the run down to turn 3. Through they go, line of stern. DRS open for both of them. Tucked right under the wing, but it might not be close enough at this occasion. Again, he's going to have to wait. So close through the corners. Just close enough at all the wrong moments. He has to nail the exit once again. through turns 9 and 10. Looks like Poland is closer to his teammate at the minute. And actually, are they trying to just cozy up to each other? Just to give each other a little bit of slipstream. Keep it away, but...
Oh, but this is a good opportunity for Meshida now. Because I think Poland was a bit too close to his teammate, but not quite.
In the meantime, Philip Pushka in the background will just be praying for any little bit of contact he can, just a moment, because he's closed right back up again as these two fight. They're all definitely losing time. Meshida just lap after lap as the tyres go away. Obviously, the super softs are relatively durable, but there's surely going to be only a finite amount of time where he's going to be able to go on full attack mode against Pascal Polens.
Lebao has DNF'd in the meantime.
Oh, that's a shame. Big shame. In the meantime, Tim Houck in the other optimal having to defend Daniel Benson-Reader side by side. They've touched wheels. Houck hanging it out there, but Benson-Reader's going to try and go around the outside. But Houck holds on for now. Making his debut for Optimal today.
Already running in the points. Solid debut for him. Kept his nose clean. Running in 8th now, but now he has the experienced Benton Reader behind. Of course, the same is true, except the Benton Reader stuff for Jay Black. He's running in 7th consistently. Danny Weller got away from Black now after that safety car restart. They were very close together ahead of the pit stops. Lucas Murno 3.6 seconds behind the top 4. And then, yeah, this is the battle we have been watching throughout. And now Philip Pushka, as he's back in the DRS range, he is probably having a much easier time to hold on to the top 4.
A great debut for Philip Pushka in his new team. Similarly for Lucas Murno, both running really well. Really important for these teams who were expecting so much more last season. And Tim Houck, just saying how good he was doing. He's in the wall and he's lost a wing and he's going to have to go and get that repaired. Try and find out what happened in a moment, but we rejoin the fighting top 4 at Albert Park. Meshida just having to back off and run up again. Just a reminder, the fastest lap competition, whoever has the most fastest laps at each race of the season wins cash prize at the end of the season. At the minute, that fastest lap still sits with Pascal Polens at 1 minute 20.9. However, there is going to be more running on fresher tyres with lighter fuel. Expect that to change. And, you know, this is open to everyone. It's not like Formula One where you must be in the points to be able to get the fastest lap. It's not like it gives you a championship point. It's just for the score at the end of the season. So we might see some drivers outside of the points in space go for it at the end of the race as well. Find out what happened with Tim Houck. So, still being chased by Daniel Benson-Reader in the Better Julia. And he's just braked a little bit late, maybe under pressure. Locked up and gone wide, so unforced error there. Benson-Reader just filling his mirrors, occupying his mind. In the meantime, Meshida close again through this run up to turn 11, focusing on the exit. He's got a very good run. Not going to be quite enough, and he runs a little bit wide. Through turn 13, Ascari. There's definitely going to be at least one more pit stop. We're not sure if there's going to be any more safety cars, but there's still 15 runners. Things could still happen. People could still retire and then have to stop the car in unfortunate places. It'll be interesting to see if it needs to run to the end.
Right now, this is the most interesting, and in fact, there is another piece of debris on the straight towards there. Looks once again like a piece of a Potenza Esport car. It might, of course, no, it is a Kostek. Tristan Engels. And and there is a Velocita car also missing a front wing, so there might have been contact.
That Jordan or Beerhoff? We've not seen much of Jendrik Beerhoff today. Machado running in the other Potenza Esport car. There's Beerhoff. Yes, it is Jendrik Beerhoff making his debut. So they've potentially had a coming together. We will look to get a replay.
Meza in the pits once again for the, I don't know, I've lost count of it.
There we go. They are racing together. Exit of turn 2. Oh! And Engels has just lost it. Had to slow. And it's then caused the collision between the two, and they've both lost their front wings. Fun fact there in the chat from Paul Munner, the team boss of Infernal Void and Velocita. Tim Houck and Jendrik Beerhoff drove last year together for Infernal Void in another Formula 1 league. So they're not strangers to this, but obviously getting used to the world of WMSC today.
Very interesting. Ruben Meshede has lost DRS. He is now under pressure from Philip Pushka. Is this the tire slowly giving in? He is on the softs compared to the mediums that Holland Racing Team are running on right now.
And I think it's fair to say Pushka also on those softs, but probably hasn't been pushing them as hard as Meshede has been over the last few laps, trying to break the orange wall ahead of him. It's a bad time to move on to the back onto the racing line. I think that's Tim Houck as well. Not too much damage done. Now Ruben Meshede has to think about Philip Pushka behind him. Pushka in the frame for a podium. Fine performance from him so far. So we last saw pit stops around lap 23-24, slightly prompted, of course, by that safety car. So in the next few laps, we might be expecting some more stops. Hopefully this time without a safety car required, but we will see.
Yeah, we will definitely see a stop of the Holland Racing Team cars. They are yet to run on the soft tires, so they will definitely have to come in. Also interesting is, when do they decide to come in? Because they surely won't want to do it too late. Oh. Are they giving us a bit of a show there? Once again, they did that at Road America, but that was when the championship was already decided. I think they can afford to do that right now.
Nope, still very easy for them to come away with nothing if something does go wrong with a little bit of scripted action, but that seems to have allowed Ruben Meshede to close right up.
Yeah, maybe it's not the tires giving in, or it's just a bit of overheating, and he thought like, yeah, let's get a bit of a gap in there. What happened to Pushka?
He's in the pits.
Okay.
He's in the background, so this might be the start for, well, to be fair, this might say to the contrary your theory about the tyres, because if he's feeling his super softs have done enough and he's on to the mediums, and that would potentially be him to the end of the race. 18 laps to do on these medium tyres.
Yes, and of course this puts pressure on the top three, because he was in undercut territory, and this will now be interesting to see. Does Meshede react, and do Holland Racing Team react? Because if he's setting quick lap times now, he might have the opportunity to jump Meshede, potentially even Poland and Wilborn, depending on how long they stay out. That was a bit of a vulnerability last year for Holland Racing Team. They were caught out by undercuts a few times.
Yeah, we'll see. And we've not had a chance to see if the undercut or the overcut is stronger because every pit stop has kind of taken place or coincided as a result of damage, or it's been with the safety car. So this is our first chance to see it at full racing speed. Daniel Benson Reader to cozy up to the back of Pushka, and Meshida has come in. So will he? I'm assuming he's going to switch back. Well, then again, he might be in the territory to run the softs again to the end of the race. Let's see how we go. What's he gone for? Can't quite see them from the camera angle. We'll find out as we
It
go
is
through.
another set of softs, I think. It
Yeah.
is.
That doesn't surprise me. I think he's been able to run that previous stint. Or let's how many laps? 18 laps on those super soft tyres. So he's basically going to do 17 on these. So he knows he can do it. So now he's in some clear air. Well, I say clear air. He's fortunately got Denny Vella up ahead, but he can now push. This has got to prompt the Holland Racing Team cars to make a move, surely.
Yeah, and this time they can't double stack it. They have to decide who to wave in first. Should probably be Woolborn as he has track position, but that might give the opportunity to Meshida to split the two Holland Racing Team cars, and then it is an entirely different story because then they won't have. Oh, Jay Black, DNF! Oh, what a shame! He was running in the points. What happened to him? He's in the pits already. Might even be a disconnect.
Oh, no way!
Oh, Danny Well now getting in the way of Meshida. He's losing time here. No pit stop from Holland Racing Team.
It looks like he's going to be able to at least dispatch him very, very quickly. Much fresher tyres. Been running a quicker pace all weekend, so it's not too bad. He gets the DRS at least, and gets it for this run as well, so hopefully he can make up a little bit of that time as well. See, that has pulled quite a gap. We'll come back to that in a second. Running pulls into the pits. Just going to pull in. Is that going to be it? He looks like he's in for a pit stop, and that's it. We'll try and find out what happened to Jay Black, but that is such a shame. It's been such a promising day and debut for Magnum Motorsports as a team, and it was up to that point for Jay Black, and Labau had his moments as well, so real shame.
Woolborn in the pits.
And this is going to be a vital pit stop for Yannis Volborn. As you can see, Murno coming in just behind. A very quick stop. What tyres has Volborn gone for? It looks like he's on to the softs. Oh, we knew he was going to go into the softs. He's not run them all day. Reuven Meshida with the fastest lap of the race, and he's going.
Oh, there he is.
He's going to have the momentum now. DRS open. This is the chance to run it down to turn 3. He's got to make the move now.
I don't think he had DRS. I don't think, because the detection point was earlier, right?
You're absolutely right.
But I'm pretty sure he now split the Holland Racing Team cars. I am pretty sure Poland's, when he stops, will be behind Meshida.
So this might change the format, the battle at the front. It might be a resumption of what we saw last year between Yannis Volborn and Reuven Meshida. In the meantime, Filip Pushka looking to also dispatch Denny Vella. Maybe get himself an undercut as well. And he's trying to get the move as good as possible. Oh my goodness, right to the edge of the track. Well held, Filip Pushka. And he's past Denny Vella. And Poland's is in. This is a vital, vital pit stop now. For track position. Volborn and Meshida coming through the final turn. Where is Pascal Poland's going to feed back out? And they've both overtaken him. You are quite right in your prediction. Job done. But this is now a key opportunity for Reuven Meshida to try and attack ahead. Poland's has got to try and get up and be a nuisance to Meshida to stop the attack. yet even looking in his rear view mirrors rather than at the orange car ahead of him. But at the minute, Meshida is looking mightily quick. The first time we've seen Holland on those super soft tyres. Going to have to be a series of hot laps from Yannis Volborn.
It should be quite similar. I think Volborn's tyres are 2 laps younger than the ones from Meshida. But I'm not sure if this will be that much of a difference, especially seeing how long Magnum Motorsport were able to run on those softs, and quite quickly as well. But yeah, we were interrupted as we were just talking about Jay Black. It would have been so interesting to see if he would have been able to make that one-stop strategy work that I presumed they were on. He might have had a chance to finish P6 on debut, but yeah, still haven't found out what happened to him. But still, despite a double DNF, quite a good debut for Magnum Motorsport.
Yeah, I think you have to say there's promise in that team. We know they've got a good engine. In fact, all the cars you can see on screen are running that engine. So they've got a good package and seemingly 2 decent drivers. But unfortunately, yeah, we don't quite know what happened to Jay Black this afternoon. But we look forward to seeing more of them this season. But Magnum's loss is Infernal Void's game. Gonzalez Cativo has managed to keep his nose clean. He's now running in the final points position with Mark Jordan just behind him. Now, Infernal Void might still come away with a point this afternoon.
And it will also be a first point in WMSC for Gonzalez Cativo. His best finish was 9th at the Road America last year for Costech. No points for 9th, but he is about to go one better and therefore score the first point of his WMSC career.
You know, the big question was, how would Infernal Void do without Lucas Murdo? And Lucas obviously continuing being Lucas up in 5th. Another solid performance. But they've got 2 very solid drivers there, it has to be said. And it's a shame, you know, Victor B got caught up in an incident. But again, potential to be quick. And now Gonzalez managing his race very well. So could still be a very, very positive season for Infernal Void.
Yeah, and also don't forget Cativo was missing a rear wing after turn 1, so very good recovery for him.
Very true.
Oh, Meshida 0.1 behind Volborn. Penalty for Meshida!
No, it's going to be track limits. And we saw him cut at some point earlier. And now he must have had the 10 warnings handed out by the game. And now he has to serve a penalty, and he goes straight in to serve it. That's such a shame from a neutral perspective for the race. But Yannis Volborn, after seeing that optimal car pull in behind him, I imagine he is a very, very happy man right now.
Just received information about... Oh, let's watch what is happening here. This is Lucas Murno, and this is going to be very, very close.
Oh, and Murno's surely going to have the momentum in the DRS. Incredibly, though, Reven's got the DRS from the activation line, despite going through the pits to serve a penalty, and he's been able to hang on. Both of them on fresh super soft tyres. Going to have to try and fend him off through turns 8 down to 11. Got a fabulous exit there. He's now going to have to try and fight Philip Pushka. So Pushka in a podium position. Seems to have caught up to Pushka incredibly. Oh, sorry, that's not Pushka. That was another car ahead of him. Another red car I just saw ahead of Meshida.
I mean, it could still be Knezovic, who is still out there.
Oh no, it was Machado. Because apparently red looks like white and blue now. Apologies. So yeah, so he's got a little bit of work measure to do. He's got 6.2 seconds up to Philip Pushka. Machado will hopefully get out the way. We've got 10 laps to go. But Philip Pushka might be on for a very fine podium, but the chase is very much on. Murno's not quite given up, though, yet on Meshida. And considering he doesn't have DRS at the minute... Oh, Machado, that is very uncomfortable, but he gets out the way. Murno senses an opportunity. He's got DRS. I don't think Reuven Meshida does. But they hold into turn 3. Kativo DNF. What has happened to Gonzalez Kativo? We've got a replay now. And this is it. So this is what's happened to Gonzalez Kativo. Oh, that's a disconnect. Yeah. Oh, that is such a shame.
No, who has that promoted into the points? Jordan. Okay.
So incredibly, it is the sister team that benefits from that disconnect. And now it's Mark Jordan on his debut. The Brit driving for Velocita Virtuale. Can he hang on for a debut point? My goodness. Oh, and Murno! Pushka's off. What has happened to Philip Pushka? We look in one direction and something else happens. Running so well all day. Is he stuck in the gravel? Will he be able to get going?
There might also be an issue, of course. Hardware issue could also be the case, because this looks very odd.
In neutral,
okay.
He's trying to...
Oh, that is odd.
Yes, that looks like hardware almost.
Oh.
What? That is such a shame. We've had a couple of instances now where people have not put a wheel wrong, and it looks like a wheel disconnection for Philip Pushka, who suffered with so many technical issues last season. And now it's a different one this season that's robbed him of what looked like a podium finish on his debut for SCMM. Question is, it looks like he's out of the way. I don't think it's going to cause a safety car. We're not sure. We've not heard anything from race control yet. As we see a replay, you're just going to go straight on at Ascari. And oh, look. Very strange. The steering is already wonky there. Christ, that was very lucky.
Oh, okay, now... Okay. That is really, really odd. But this, has to be a wheel issue.
Incredibly lucky not to cause an accident there, it has to be said. So now Meshida is promoted back to third, but unfortunately 12 seconds between him and Holland. Don't think he's going to be able to pull that in. His main concern now is keeping Lucas Murno behind him on his debut for Scuderia Cesario. He senses a chance at a podium.
Yeah, it would only be his second. Finished third in Belgium last year. Came very close to another podium in Portugal when he crashed on the final lap of the final corner of the final lap of the race. Was still classified fifth there, I believe. But yeah, he lost that podium. And yeah, it really is very different with these cars, because we've lost 8 drivers now, have we? Of course, not all of them are related to crashes or... yeah, we've seen Pushka, he had that wheel disconnect. And Jay Black, I got information from Henry Buckland, team boss of Magnum Motorsports, that he had a personal emergency and therefore retired from this race. So hope everything is all right for Jay.
Absolutely. So a lot of bad luck affecting a lot of drivers in different ways up and down the grid this afternoon. Many of whom had been putting in fine performances. As it stands, we have just over 6 laps to go. Yanis Volbon leads by 1.5 seconds from his teammate Lucas Murno, half a second away from Reuven Meshida. Can he get an unexpected podium in his debut for Scuderia Cesario? Then, Better Julia. Talk about good race management, running 5th and 6th. Jordan now in Velocita on his and the team's debut, running in 7th, and Tim Houck on his debut for Optimal in 8th, the last points paying position. Incredibly, Mateus Machado for Potenza in 8th. There's one more incident. It could be a very first point for Potenza Esports.
And they were involved in quite a bit of crashes and spins, off-track moments as well. So just imagine what could have been had they managed to keep their nose clean. But this would still be the best finish for Potenza Esport, 9th. And Knez is still out there on... I just counted it. It is... Oh, it was one more. It's 9 pit stops. 9 pit stops. And Knez is still out there. Okay, it says 5 here, but I see 10 different stints on the live timing data. So even the game probably lost track how many times he's been in. But if the data I have here on the live timing is correct, he's still yet to use the soft tire.
So he's going to have to attempt stop, surely. Someone let him know. It would be a shame for him to get all the way through this race, nursing the car home, only to be disqualified on a technicality for not running the soft tyre. That's insane. Oh, and no! He's touched the wall!
Lucas is not out, but lost his front wing.
Unbelievable, just pushing it that little bit too hard on the exit of the final corner. And it's worth noting that his previous final sector was purple. He was pushing and right under the back wing of Reuven Meshida. And frustratingly, now lost the wing. So, he's now going to have to spend a whole lap nursing the car around.
This is also the worst part of the track for something like this to happen. He has now to do the whole lap. Benton Reader is surely going to get past him. Weller as well. Might have a chance to still be 6th after his pit stop.
Depends how much time he loses on his in-lap to Jordan. But we will see how it goes. But wow. Just one wheel wrong. So unlucky for Lucas Murno, but pushing really hard to stay up with a potential championship contender. So at the minute, the gap is down to 7 seconds between Murno and Benton Reader.
We have Gonzalez Cativo now in the chat confirming it was indeed a technical problem, but forced him to retire.
Such a shame. We've had so many of those this afternoon. I do hope we'll be able to but here comes Murno in the pits to get the wing changed. Both Better Julia's through 4th and 5th. Not what we were expecting. Maybe points for them, but 4th and 5th would be a fine result for them. Just need to run, but here comes Murno. He's going to be eager to get out. And he's back out in 6th. And comfortably ahead of Jordan. In fact, there is Jordan. Both Velocitas still running, but not without incident, it has to be said. Caught up in quite a few handfuls of incidents this afternoon. But it would be a fine result for Mark Jordan on his debut. And the sister team would temporarily go ahead with Infernal Void.
Yeah, and I think we can now really see, just with this race, these cars definitely are harder to drive than last year, or harder to push at least. We've seen it with Myrna. We really rarely saw something like that happen. And we've seen it multiple times. If you go over the limit, you will be punished. Tristan Engels, he's also still running in 10th for Kostek. Also close to the best career finish of Kostek. Tristan Engels, of course, a new driver. He's just letting... Who is that? One of the better Julias? Probably Weller through.
Team boss of Cesario, Max Heyman, in the chat, speechless. Murno certainly has P4, which is much better than expected, and does something like that. Or I think team boss might be having a conversation after the race, getting some Eddie Jordan vibes. Hopefully not Flavio Briatore vibes. But yeah, such a shame for Lucas Murno, doing an incredible job on his debut. Looks like it's going to be 6th this afternoon.
But still, I can understand it from Lucas Murno's point of view, because he was so close to podium finish, and just ever so slightly overstepped that limit, trying to push. Oh, and Mashida, I think he's going for that fastest lap. Hitting once again. Let's just hope he does not retire.
Could you imagine? I mean,
There
at the
goes.
minute,
Oh, and in the background, who's that? Is that... No, that's not Lucas Murno, so Knes is in.
Yep, he's in. Here, soft tyre. Yep, absolutely. So it's interesting. So Ruben Meshida already has the fastest lap by 0.2 from Pascal Polans. So he's gone in for fresh tyres, but obviously he must think that they could still, on those used tyres, go quicker. So he's going to try and cover it off and make sure he gets that fastest lap. In the meantime,
he's very close to Benton Reader now, so risky that.
So Knezovic has just stopped, but unless there's a glitch, it says he's still on the same tyre. I'm not sure really what to say. Does you remember he's supposed to go on to the soft tyre at some point? Because based on the information we have on the timing screen, he just hasn't, and has just gone in the pits again to not put on the super soft tyre. Is he going for some sort of pit stop record? I'm not sure. But thank you, Alexander Knezovic, for, despite being 5 laps down and clearly having a massively damaged suspension, still running round for Scuderia Cesario. We are on the final lap now. Lap 57, and, well, it's gone perfectly for the reigning driver and Constructors' Champions. Pole for Poland's, and then Yanis Volborn looking to start where he left off last season. Yanis Volborn wins the first round of the 2024 WMSC Championship, and Pascal Polans makes it a 1-2 for Holland Racing Team. Now, in the meantime, Ruben Meshida has gone purple in the first and second sector. He looking like he's going to absolutely sew up this fastest lap for today. He could have been in with the race win this afternoon, but falling foul of track limits, that late penalty putting him out of it. But it does set him up for a potential charge at the championship. He crosses the line, and that is a 1 minute 19.9, the fastest lap of the race. Better Julie is 4th and 5th, an incredible result for them. Benton Reader and Vella, excellent work indeed. Lucas Murno, 6th, a solid result for him and Scuderia Cesario, but my goodness, what could have been that late accident for him. Just to wait, Mark Jordan on his debut, on his team's debut. He'll come home to pick up 2 points after a very, very eventful afternoon indeed for both Infernal Void and Velocita Virtuale. Excellent work indeed. And we're just awaiting Tim Houck, I believe. Or has Tim Houck already crossed the line, I think?
I think he has already crossed the line, but he finishes in the points on his debut. And oh my word, that was quite a chaotic race. But congratulations to Yannis Wilborn. He had probably the cleanest race out there. Now Knazzy is in the pits now. Once again, but I think, yeah, he's also taken the checkered flag already.
And here are the provisional results for the very first race. Yannis Volborn wins from Pascal Polens. It is a perfect afternoon for Holland Racing Team. But let's be honest, if Ruben Meshida just kept a little bit cleaner, he might have spoiled it. But he does finish third and pick up the fastest lap, which no points in the championship, but is for that cash prize at the end of the season. Great double points finish for Beta Julia 4th and 5th, Lucas Murno 6th. But could have been a top 3 for him, or at the very least 4th. Mark Jordan, 2 points on the debut for him and his team, and Tim Houck in the other optimal car, rounding off the points-paying positions. Mateus Machado and Tristan Engels, so close for Potenza Esport and Costech, awaiting their first ever points as a team in the sport. Jendrik Beerhoff in the other Velocita in 11th. Alexander Knezovic is 12th. I am not sure what will happen in terms of him not running both tyres. We'll find out probably later on. We'll bring that news to you in the next race. But then we have the DNFs, and so many of them from technical issues. Philip Pushka, Gonzalez Cativo, Jay Black, we hope everything's okay, having to leave for personal reasons. Zhao, Fernando Labau in the other Magna Motorsports car, both putting in fine performances, unfortunately, until their DNFs. Bellamy and Mauricio Quercio in the Potenza and the Costech. Victor B, a very eventful first race for him in Infernal Void. Gino Gugliano, the first retirement of the season. So we will, as ever, look to get the Holland Racing Team guys in with us on stream to have a chat. But my goodness, what a first race of the season. So much happened there. And it was I don't think it was anything was by any script you could predict. That was just chaos, but also some great moves as well. But I think definitely a lot of people finding the limits of these new cars.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see how this season continues, if the drivers start to get used to it. Because I don't think my heart can make it if we have 13 more of those races that we had today here.
And we are now joined by the top 3 from the race. Yannis Volborn, Pascal Polens, and Ruben Meshida. Thank you for a very entertaining first race of the season. Yannis, we'll start with you. Congratulations, starting and picking up this season where you left off last season. How was this afternoon compared to driving the cars last season?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it was a tough one actually. Yeah, we didn't change the setup like 2 days ago, which are the changes Pascal made. We wouldn't have been in this position with a 1-2. So yeah, big thanks.
Oh, awesome. And obviously, looks like you've gone for a slightly different philosophy, I should say. So it's a much more high downforce base for you this year. Just compared to, the cars in general last year, are you feeling there's a definite lack of grip compared to last year? Or is it kind of, have you managed to get the car into a similar place where you feel like it's picking up where you left off?
Yeah, for us was an easy decision actually. We tried the very high downforce car, and yeah, it was the quickest one for us. So yeah, it was a easy pick.
Oh, fantastic. Pascal, on to you. Congratulations on the first pole of the season, and a solid race from you as well. Some good team play once again. How was it a coordinated decision in terms of what order you'd run in, or was there a decision on how you'd run in terms of defending against Reuven? How much of that was planned, or were you just kind of going out there and seeing how it felt with it being race one?
Well, we didn't have any plans for the race in terms of who's going to be in front and who's going to be in second. But the race somewhat decided itself who's going to be in place or in first place, because I went a bit wide when Jannis passed me, and I didn't want to get penalty points for extending the track, because you never know if you're going to need a bit of spare points later in the race. So yeah, I didn't want to have the same fate as Ruven in this regard. But yeah, the defending from Ruven was all on the fly. I think we shown last year that we worked together really good, and I think we just continued on that way.
Absolutely, and yeah, very well done. A perfect start for both yourselves as a team. Reuven, on to yourself. Obviously you were very much in the fight. You managed to break the orange wall ahead of you by getting the undercut and then that vital penalty. Such a shame for your afternoon. But how do you feel generally, all things aside?
I mean, yeah, the penalty was really unnecessary, and yeah. I mean, I should take the positives away and see that I have the pace. I can fight with the HRT guys, but it will be difficult to have always a 2 versus 1. But I will fight. I will keep working to keep improving the setup, and yeah.
No, absolutely, and I think you've all set up a very interesting season, because you could tell how closely matched you all are once again, and it's great to see you all picking up where you left off. So yeah, congratulations to all of you, and thanks very much for a good race this afternoon. Robin, your thoughts on that race? It's a bit of a hospital pass to ask you to try and sum up that race, because so much went on. But what thoughts, what takeaways do you have from our opener this afternoon?
I think I can agree with Reuven here that we're in for an interesting title fight, because we've seen that the two, that Jannis, Pascal, and Reuven were at the very front, pretty evenly matched throughout this race. So yeah, it will surely be an interesting season. It was a very interesting race. To summarize it, I probably need to rewatch it twice. But yeah, so much going on, so much interesting storylines are lining up just after that first race, with a lot of the new names springing some surprises, a lot of unexpected retirements. So yeah, what an opening race, and I can't wait to see what happens next when we go racing at Bahrain.
No, absolutely. It's been an incredible season opener. And we might be just getting one more interview. I'm going to see if Henry Buckland, the team boss of Magnum Motorsports, is going to join us. But we'll give him a couple of minutes and see. He said he's going to pop in and chat to us very briefly. But so much went on today, and we'll talk a little bit about it with Henry Buckland, team boss of Magnum Motorsports. Henry, good afternoon. Thank you for joining us. How was that first WMSC race for you?
Very exciting, I must say. A lot of preparation gone into it. I joined quite late, obviously. Came in not just a couple of weeks ago. Putting a lot of work in, learning a lot, working with the team. Yeah, a lot of work's been going into car development, strategy. Obviously, our partnership with Optiminal has been amazing. Strategy, work, it's just been a phenomenal way to start the season.
And both of your guys were running so well this afternoon. Such a shame for both of them, but really promising, and really solid performance. Obviously, not quite there on qualifying with 12th and 13th, but at one point both running in the points. So surely lots of positive things to take away from that.
Yeah, obviously being a new team, coming in, going up against all the bigger teams that have already done this, running in the points with 2 cars, it's amazing. Knowing that it's only round 1, there's so many more to go. A long season, but it's a good way to start, knowing that we can do it, and just we can take things away from today's race and work on it for Bahrain.
And obviously, you're in quite an interesting position because obviously you're the new team, but also a new engine supplier. And not only that, it's an engine supplier that's been taken up by the top two constructors from last season, who very much seem to be retaking that mantle this season as well. Does that kind of put you under a little bit of pressure to think, oh, we should be getting up there, or are you kind of just taking things at your own pace?
I think, especially being a new team, you got to work on it. You can't just expect to be up there. We got a new team, new drivers. Jay's done a brilliant job coming in. Zhao too, although he had to retire. The performance that he showed before that, it was amazing. And I think us having a new engine, it's a very good engine, and it's good that we have the big teams on it to get us the money to save us the budget to help develop our car, and hopefully we can move on from this and move on to bigger and better things.
Oh, that's fantastic. And it very much feels like an old school sort of relationship that F1 teams had in the 90s, where you'd have like Benetton helping out a Ligier/Prost to get up the field. And it's kind of a similar sort of vibe to it. So it's great that it can help you move the field. And we were saying on stream before kind of the retirements, and even after, it was a really promising debut. So we are very much looking forward to seeing more of you as the season goes on.
Yeah, likewise. Thank you.
And that is round one of WMSC 2024. Again, what a race. We will debrief and let you know of any other kind of things that happen after the race in the intro of the next one. But the next race, as Robin mentioned, is Bahrain in 2 weeks' time, I believe, Robin.
Yeah, if the math's all right, I think 2 weeks' time is right. Yeah.
Very often the maths are not right, but on this occasion, they are. So yes, we hope you will join us at Bahrain International Circuit in 2 weeks' time. What a start to the season! It promises battles up and down the grid, and a lot of drama on and off the track. Thanks very much. We'll see you soon.